the great Matt Barrows, The Athletic, all over this 49er situation. And so I will paint you into a corner. Matt, what if Brock Purdy was your son, huh? What about that?
Get him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question. I mean, not only is it a concussion week, but he got the concussion on a Monday. Fewer days to heal up before the next contest.
Yeah, and I guess that's where Kyle Shanahan's coming from in terms of his comments earlier today about it not really being much of a decision, because isn't it true, Matt, that in this league, if somebody gets cleared, then they play? There really isn't much of a decision when it comes to a yes-no concussion clearance.
Yeah, there isn't, but I mean, I seem to recall a situation, and I forget who it involved, but an in-game decision where a player was pulled off the field for a suspected concussion. He was cleared on the sideline, but Shanahan decided, you know what, let's just keep him out the rest of the game. So, I mean, the head coach has the ability to say, nah, we're not going to start this guy. Sam Darnold practiced throughout the week, so we're going to go with him. So I think there is some discretion there. But I think what Shanahan was saying is that Purdy looked felt okay from Tuesday onward, or rather Wednesday onward, and looked good in the practices, felt good, and so there's really no reason to keep him in the protocol if he's showing all signs that he's past this concussion.
Matt Barrows with us here on Willard and Dibs 95.7 The Game. I it's so interesting, Matty, because as you're saying, if they're like, hey, the neurologists say we're good, the doctors say we're good, he feels fine, why would we keep him out? But what do you make of the fact that essentially nobody has done this all year long? No one has recovered this quickly from a concussion. And add in, it was not a Sunday game, it was a Monday game. So it's almost like my question is, how is this possible?
Well, I think it's just because he's felt so good and he's reacted so well. And it has happened. I know that Adam Schefter put out that tweet earlier this year. I don't think that was quite right. Most players who get concussed on a Sunday don't play the following Sunday, but there have been a few who have gone through it. John Feliciano on the 49ers did it earlier this year, for example. So it's not unheard of. The Monday situation does make it a bit odd. To me, the real kind of, underlying issue is it's still such a murky issue. It's not, taking a scan of a shoulder or an elbow and seeing that something is fully healed. It's the brain. And I think anybody who deals with that will tell you that it's not, you can't 100% tell when somebody has it, when somebody's fully cleared of it, et cetera, et cetera. So, to me, it's always probably best to err on the side of caution. The 49ers are not going in that direction this week.
I like your use of murky, because this definitely feels murky to me, and the subjectivity of the protocol, I think, reeks of murkiness. In terms of the final clearance, it's an independent neurologist and the team doctor. And do we know exactly what sort of testing they do? Is it as simple as how many fingers am I holding up, or is it more elaborate than that, Matt?
No, it's more. That's the 1975 test that they took. This is more elaborate, but you're right. It's the team physician and an independent neurologist agreeing that he's cleared the protocol. So I think there's baseline testing that these guys all take that's involved in it. I don't know exactly where he needs to go to get that done. I'm talking like it's a done deal. It's not. I mean, the independent neurologist can kind of decide what we're looking at and think that, okay, maybe it's too early for him to have passed. Any sort of hiccup whatsoever would mean that Sam Darnold's starting. So it's not in stone. I would say that all signs are pointing to him starting against the Bengals just because the progress has been so steady and so rapid, but it's certainly not been decided yet.
Matt, how's the team reacting to simply what they've seen the last 2 weeks? This is the first time Brock Purdy has played after losses, followed it up with another one. I know it wasn't all about Brock, but what adjustments do they think are being made to stop them, and what adjustments will they throw back?
Yeah, I mean, I think the defensive adjustments are going to be the thing to watch on Sunday. I mean, you got a really good quarterback who looked like he was healed up going into the bye, and then had the bye to kind of further heal that calf injury. And he's got a terrific rapport. I don't know if there's a better quarterback wide receiver rapport than Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So, I mean, the Bengals have a lot on their side going into this game. And I think it'll be, Shanahan said it. I mean, as plain as day on Wednesday. The pass rush hasn't always been tied to the coverage. Sometimes the pass rush is there and there's loose coverage and the guy's able to hit the target, and sometimes it's vice versa. So I think kind of keeping an eye on that, maybe tighter coverage against these guys. I think that the Jamar Chase, Tarvarius Ward matchup is really the most intriguing matchup to watch in this game. Tarvarius Ward obviously was heavily involved in the most pivotal play on Monday in Minnesota. He would have had a terrific game. I mean, sensational game, player of the game type of outing had he made that interception before the half, or merely just kind of broken up that throw. Otherwise, he was sensational. So I think he's got something to prove. He was angry after the game. He didn't want to talk to the media. So he's got a good challenge on his hands on Sunday. It's going to be a really fascinating matchup to watch when he's matched up on number one, Jamar Chase.
Yeah, and Chase is going to be all over the place in the slot and maybe even in the backfield alongside Burrow. So I don't think it'll be a clear-cut one-on-one all game. Just looking back one more time at Blitzgate, Matt, as I like to call it, the zero blitz at the end of the half. What do you make of Kyle Shanahan maybe throwing Steve Wilks under the bus and then retreating back from that? Where do you see this relationship between Wilks and Shanahan right now?
I mean, I think it's something to watch. If this team loses 3 straight right before the bye, I think it's something to watch. I don't know what the 49ers would do. There have been other instances during Shanahan's tenure where the defense has faltered a little bit during when Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator, and Shanahan stayed the course, was loyal to Saleh and Saleh's units, eventually played really well. So that's how I think it will go. But you're right. I mean, Blitzgate has sort of revealed the cracks, revealed the difficult fit that Steve Wilks has had to make with his team. I mean, that was the whole thing when they hired him, that the 49ers were hiring a guy who would come in and basically wouldn't do a lot to change the defense. The 49ers loved their defense. They loved their alignments. They didn't want to, bring in a Vic Fangio, a guy who would, bring in a 3-4 and really alter things. They wanted somebody who would pretty much stay the course. And Wilks admitted this week that hasn't been as easy as it looks on paper. He's a defensive secondary specialist, and he was going to come in and do some things in the secondary. He likes blitzes, all sorts of things that the marriage, at least in the last game, looked like a difficult one. So, another loss, and I think that'll be scrutinized even more coming out of the bye week.
Matt, that's very interesting when you say that it is something to watch. You've been in the room with them when this is all happening. Is it your perception that if Kyle is saying that in front of a microphone, then off camera and away from microphones, this must have gotten hot a time or two so far this year?
I mean, this is a team with high expectations. I mean, they started out 5-0. They thought that they were kind of playing up to their potential, and then all of a sudden they dropped two winnable games. When that happens, there's going to be that level of scrutiny. I mean, I think Blitzgate was really interesting because if you look at that play, not only are they zero blitzing, but there's a hesitance in some of the players. Like they're not fully bought into the play. Talanoa Hufanga is on the edge there. He doesn't really blitz. If he blitzes full out, he probably gets the Cousins as he's throwing. He didn't. So I don't know if it was buy-in, if it was confusion. I don't know what it was, but I think it was obvious that the players weren't in tune, at the very least, in tune to the play enough. Because if they were, it probably would have worked. But it was such a different call, something that they're not used to, especially in that situation, that they obviously didn't execute it very well.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live in the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. We're hanging with Matty Barrows of The Athletic.
So we know that Brock Purdy, if he passes protocol, is in. Deebo Samuel, it appears, is certainly out. Where are we with Trent Williams and his ankle in terms of the likelihood that he plays? Feels to me like he's maybe as important as anyone else in terms of availability.
Yeah, and especially so if Purdy does pass protocol and plays. I mean, you want the best left tackle in the game protecting Purdy's backside, blind side in that situation. So I think that he's a true question mark of that group. He barely practiced this week. For most players, he would be doubtful, I think, having barely practiced throughout a practice week. But he's Trent Williams. If he makes progress in these next 48 hours or so, I think he'll play. And that's what the 49ers are hoping. He just hasn't at this point. So, going into a bye, that might influence their decision a little bit. I would sort of lean to think that he would play, but I think it's truly up in the air at this point.
Matty, what do you think the 49ers are going to do at the deadline?
Coming out of that Vikings game, it seemed clear to me that they are lacking that second edge rusher. And I know they brought in Randy Gregory. I just don't think that he's a 50-snap-a-game guy. I think he's more of a 20-snap-a-game guy at this point. If there's any spot that I think that the 49ers would make a move, it's defensive end. And there's some good ones available. I mean, I think it's probably rare that so many quality edge rushers are available this season. And to me, in my eyes, that would kind of cure a lot of the ills that this team's been suffering through. You wouldn't need to blitz if you had another quality edge rusher opposite Nick Bosa. I was breaking down the numbers the other day. We all saw Drake Jackson get 3 sacks in week 1. But after week 1, all of the edge rushers on the team, not named Nick Bosa, have exactly 1 sack. And that's Randy Gregory's sack in Cleveland. And he's the newcomer, and I think he's good. But I think it's clear from the snap counts that they're not getting what they want to see from Drake Jackson. He hasn't had a sack or a quarterback hit since then. Cleveland Farrell hasn't had a sack all season. He's mostly been a base down guy, so you sort of accept that. But I would say that there's still room on this roster to add a second really good edge rusher.
What about the edge rushers who are named Nick Bosa, Matt? And I'm reading your piece in The Athletic today about Nick Bosa and him saying that he had 2 bad games and otherwise has been steady, but the numbers haven't been there. Why hasn't Nick been able to get home this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the numbers have been there in a way as far as his pressure rates and how much he's winning in one-on-one matchups and that stuff. I think it comes down to what we were just talking about, what kind of adjustments the 49ers make vis-a-vis coverage versus pass rush. When the pass rush is there, the coverage hasn't been tight. And like I said, it's been vice versa as well. So some of it is just kind of syncing up And sometimes all it takes is one big game. I mean, one game to sort of, what was the phrase that Jim Harbaugh used to use about the olive jar? The olives are, you're having a hard time getting the olives out of the jar. You get that one olive out, and all of a sudden they come out like an avalanche. And I think that's sort of the way the 49ers feel about their pass rush. Once they get that first game where it starts to come, then the rest of the sacks will come quickly after that.
Matt, great stuff. Appreciate it. By the way, since Brock couldn't talk, Sam did, right?
He did. It's a sort of a peculiar rule that the NFL has that a guy who's still in the concussion protocol doesn't do media, which meant that Brock Purdy practiced on Thursday and Friday, but he couldn't talk to reporters. The 49ers did make a quarterback available, and that was Sam Darnold, even though, as I said, all signs seem to be that Purdy and not Darnold is going to be starting this week.
Yeah, was it just sheepish?
Awkward.
What did he say?
Yeah, not much. I actually didn't even bother to go over there. I was doing a different interview at the time when his availability rolled around. So I wasn't part of it, but I was told that not a lot was said in the session.
I can imagine. Sam, do you prefer the new school tablet or the old school clipboard?
Exactly. That seems to be the way it's shaping up. But like I said, I mean, all it takes is one wrong answer, one headache, something on Saturday or Sunday,
right?
And Sam Darnold is starting this game.
All right. We'll take a look. Hey, Matt, great work this week, and as always, thank you so much.
All right. Anytime, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right. Matty Barrows, The Athletic, on the 49ers situation.